And I'm live. I'm really, really excited about this topic. I did a poll just kind of seeing where you guys were at with what you wanted to hear me talk about and do the discussions on. I did like self care and body image, which comes up a lot when I'm talking with people, whether it's friends or clients that I'm working with. Or I want to talk about self care and its limitations. And y'all voted. And so we are going to be talking about self care and its limitations. More importantly, just like what self care cannot fix. So I'm happy that you guys joined in. We have somebody coming in live. This is really super impromptu. So if you're catching it live, hey. If you catch the replay, still hey to you. I'm hoping that just talking about this discussion can really just promote just some thought provoking and help you hopefully on your journey. So, before we get started, we really need to talk about like what self-care is because honestly, oh, you got the notification this time. Yes. Y'all, since this is live, y'all might hear me sporadically like say something because people in the chat, so I'm going to be monitoring both. But I want to first start off by saying what self-care is. Self-care, first of all, is whatever, right, helps you intentionally feel better about yourself mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, socially. These are just the pillars of self-care. So when you're thinking about it, it might not be going to this day party on top of a roof. That might not be self-care for you. It might be at home, chilling with a book, some tea with your feet up. So know that self-care is not a one shoe fits all, that it's really personalized. And honestly, it looks different at any age that you're at. So what self-care looked like in my 20s is not the same way that self-care looks like in my 30s. I actually thought about doing a video about that. Let me know in the comments if you think that'd be a helpful video. I feel like it's something that I learned in like it might help other people, but we'll see. So diving into this, right? We about to dive into this thing, some real talk self-care. So the first thing that self-care cannot fix, don't come for me, y'all, but it cannot fix trauma. What do I mean by that? Is that self-care is a beautiful thing. It can help really support us, bring us from just not feeling good about ourselves. It can help us increase our confidence and make us feel grounded, but it by no means cannot fix trauma. Those underlying wounds where somebody hurt you in the past, where anytime you think about something and you're triggered, yeah, self-care can't fix that. I don't care how many eye masks, how many fuzzy baths or hour-long showers. Yeah, self-care is not going to be able to fix that. You really need to take a deeper level. That's why I love self-care and healing. That's what I'm all about because you really need both. So when you're thinking about, okay, I'm taking the long showers, I'm going on my solo dates, I'm reimagining just my life and my best self, and you're like, it's not working, it's because self-care can't fix that trauma. You really need to take a look at the limiting beliefs that came from out of that trauma. You got to think about those triggers. You got to think about what's going on environmentally with you. What's your situation like? Is that also promoting that trauma? Y'all, I could get real deep into it, but it's to say that just taking care of yourself mentally and emotionally and spiritually and socially, that just might be maintaining, right? That might just be helping you to be able to smile, be able to just go to work and do those things. So it could be a band-aid, but is it going to help you really release and heal and process those deep-rooted trauma? As a licensed therapist, right? I'm here to tell you. It's a no. It's not going to do it. I don't want that to hurt anybody's feelings, especially if you're like, I don't want to go to therapy. I don't want to talk to anybody about my problems. I'm not trying to ruffle no feathers, but I'm just going to say, to be honest, that shower, buying perfume, flowers, treating yourself to meals, even leveling up in your career, because I get lots of professional women that I work with and they have all the things. They have all the things. They're checking off all the boxes, But as far as feeling that healing and that freedom, yeah, they don't feel it. So you're not alone. I'm not coming for you. Let me jump into the chat. Okay, so yes, somebody wrote, I agree. I've tried it and still ended up having to properly deal with it in therapy. It's so true. You could have all the things. If we even want to make it bigger, if you're like Rashawnda, what you saying ain't really making sense. Think about all these celebrities who are choosing to unlive themselves, and you think that they have all of these things, or you come out and you find out you're like, man, like they were struggling with this, they were unhappy during this. I never would have thought. It's to say that money, self-care, success, those things can't heal those wounds. So I don't want you to have just this thought process of watching all of these things on social media and scrolling through and trying to mimic those things, and you have a false sense of happiness, because happiness is not lasting. So yeah, I could go on and on because I truly care about this truly care about this, but I don't want to like hold y'all like a long time today. I know it's your Saturday, or whenever you're watching the replay, I want you to just get like the grit of it. And then number two, another thing that self-care cannot fix. Y'all, I hope it's not distracting y'all since I talk with my hands. But I need y'all to understand, right? If you are feeling like you're at your lowest point, right, where you're like, I can't get up, everything makes me tired, you're most likely burnt out. Yeah, self-care can't fix that. No. When you're just in the hustle and bustle of things and you out here moving and shaking and trying to level up, and you're like, okay, I'm doing all the things, like it feels good, I'm gaining this success, I'm feeling good, I'm having more money, I'm making career changes, and you just really are on your grind, as they say. You on your grind. Yeah, self-care alone cannot help you come back from burnout. And I hear a lot of like people, give advice about, oh, if you're like burnt out, go to self-care. But there's levels to burnout, right? If it's just like, oh, I did a busy day and I'm like, I just need to take some tea. Y'all, I keep mentioning tea because I love tea, y'all. But you're like, I just need to take some moments of relaxation and I'll be good. Yeah, if you can't say that, then baby, you are, you know, low, okay? And that type of burnout really needs to inquire just a lot of shifts and moving parts and changes and reevaluation. And that can't be done alone with self care. So if you're finding yourself in a place where you're like, I'm burnt out, I can't seem to climb myself out of a hole, this is not to be confused with depression now. Not to be confused. Burnout and depression are two different things. So also need to say that. So if you find yourself where you're just like, I can't crawl myself, I'm always tired chronically, and it's really hard, even though you really want to do it. Yeah, self-care is like a supportive tool because it can help you maintain and take care of yourself, but you really got to find a lot of other ways to address that burnout. Your time management, right? The mental strain, the responsibilities, and those things don't come under self-care. They come under like journaling and processing, right? But they don't necessarily come along like the normal kind of surface level of self-care. So I just want to speak to all my people out there who are like, yes, I feel burnt out. Again, I'm trying to do all the things that I see on social media, and I still find myself tired all the time. Yeah, we need to take a step back, think about what recharging looks like. Okay. What does happiness look like? What does me feeling whole? When was the last time that I felt recharged? When was the last time I felt energy? And that deeper level thinking and processing, you won't find that in self-care. Like that's when you do that inner work. So I'm trying to help to help like just bring understanding that self-care is a beautiful thing. Beautiful, amazing thing. Can help give you all the warm and fuzzies, boost your confidence, your self-esteem, help recharge you. But if you're so low because you've been neglecting yourself mentally, emotionally, spiritually, right? And you've been doing it for so long, going after the hustle and the grind, if you just all of a sudden are just like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna just do self-care and that's gonna fix it. No, it's gonna just put a band-aid on it because you have neglected yourself for so long, being a part of like that hamster wheel. Again, I'm not one to pose for that hamster heel because as a mom of three and new entrepreneur, right? I understand that hustle. I try not to subscribe to it, which is why I be going ghost a lot of times. But I do recognize that there are things that you have to be responsible for, right? That you have to do that do bring a certain level of fatigue, but it's about doing that inner work and navigating it for you and not trying to mimic what somebody else is doing. So, self care, again, can help. It can maintain. You can even get burnout all the while still doing self care. So, that should be enlightening in itself that, oh, if you've been taking care of yourself, but you still find yourself burnt out, that's why self care can't fix it alone. That's why, because you can still be showering. Well, I hope you shower. Oh gosh, doing all the luxury things, taking time to yourself, right? Prioritizing yourself, but you can still find yourself burnt out. Why? Because self care alone cannot fix burnout. Okay, as we moving along, please also use the chat. Let me know. I love hearing just your thoughts and opinions on just this topic of what self-care cannot fix. Now, okay, another thing that self-care cannot fix is relationship issues. What do you mean by that? I mean by that is that if you are having relationship issues with your partner, self-care can't fix that. It can't fix it. Why? Because you are having issues, whether it's communication. I mean, it's a long list of things you can have with issues with your partner. Let's be real. Like, I've been in a relationship for a long time, a long time. And yeah, communication, finances, what else? Responsibilities, the vision, leadership, all of these things come up in a relationship that can be triggers for having issues that you need to deal with. And again, self care is not going to do that. Not gonna fix it, not gonna help y'all navigate it. It can, help you maybe ground yourself or feel like you're taking care of yourself afterwards, whether y'all had like a little disagreement or y'all are going through some type of strain. Yeah, if you practice self-care, it's a way not to neglect yourself. It's a way to take care of yourself. But are you gonna miraculously forgive this person? Are you gonna miraculously think about, ready to talk to this person just because you took care of yourself? No, not necessarily. Issues within a relationship has to be addressed outside of the self-care, right? You got to be able to talk about where's the communication breaking down? Where are the misunderstandings coming from? Am I using absolutes, all or nothing? You always do this. You never do this. Y'all, I'm jumping into like my therapist had a little bit. But it's about really addressing where it comes from. And you see, self care is not going to address the misunderstanding. Self care is not going to address, the communication or the way that you talk to me, right? Self care is not going to address you spending all this money on something that we didn't talk about. This is real talk. Self care is not going to address those things. And so if you're like, okay, I know we having issues, I'm just going to practice self care, you might find yourself alone real soon. I'm just saying, I'm just being very honest. And if you don't find yourself alone in the physical sense, because you lay next to a person, you might find yourself feeling isolated and lonely within yourself because all you've been doing is trying to take care of yourself while suppressing and trying not to think about, right, all those issues that go on with your partner. I'm gonna tell y'all this: when something ain't right with me and my partner, I just be like, oh my gosh, I can't even think straight. Why? Because they play such a significant role in the relationships, in the way that you think, the way that you navigate, the way that you move. Now, I'm not talking about power. So don't think about, hey, Heather, don't think about that I'm saying, oh, there's a controlling sense of in the relationship, you're letting that person control you. No, no, no. What I'm saying is that when you care deeply about a person and you have interwoven your life If things aren't right, you're gonna feel it. And just trying to run off and take yourself on like a solo date or taking a bath or doing these things, you're still gonna come back because the problem is still there. You may have taken care of you, but the problem is still there. And you might even have made it worse because it lingers and it's grown. So it's important to recognize that, yes, taking care of you, you are still an individual. You are entitled to your identity. Okay. That's something that I do make sure of. But it's also to say that remembering that a relationship is two people. And so in those two people, that has to be addressed with that other person. It is not something that can be addressed alone, nor is it something that you can just put like a lid on and say, you know what, I'm put a lid on it. I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm gonna go and get this manicure, get my pedicure, and it's gonna be a wrap. No, the only thing that's going to be a wrap is your mental state when you come back and you find out that these problems ain't go nowhere. And I don't want that for you. I don't want that for you at all. So recognizing, right, that in a relationship is two people. And so self-care cannot address that. Unfortunately, we wish it could, right? We wish that we could go get our nails and toes and relax and kick our feet up and all of our problems, would be solved. But that's just not the case. It really is not. And the last one is what I've kind of just like talked about a little bit is that, look at my hands. That I can talk about a little bit is just that, self-care cannot fix mental health issues. And what do I mean by that? Now, I'm not gonna profess and say that, I'm not going to just like be like, oh, yes, everybody needs prescriptions or whatever the case is. But what I'm going to say is that mental health is real. I'm a therapist. I see lots of mental health, issues that people struggle with. And honestly, a lot of them sometimes are out of their control. And so if you're just wanting to ignore all of those things and those red flags, maybe your mood swings, maybe it's these outbursts, maybe you feel these highs and these lows that you are constantly feeling, self-care is not going to be able to fix that. You definitely need to seek other things outside of it. Why did I even bring this up? Because I often, find people coming to me when they're at the end of their rope. And I'm like, how did we get here? Like, how did you get here? Let me know your story, because someone's story is super important to me. It's a gateway into their world and how they're thinking. And it's really important. And so when I hear their story, I hear that they saw all of the red flags. They knew that something was going on. It's just what they were going to was a soft blanket, right? They were going to self-care. They were going to things that would give them temporary relief. Because honestly, a lot of self-care is like temporary. It's like in that present moment, this feels good. This is what I'm going to do. But if it's something long running, yes, self-care can prolong it and sometimes make the issues even worse because you've dealt with them for so long, pushing them down, suppressing them, ignoring them, losing relationships, losing jobs, losing opportunities because you've been trying to manage it on your own with just self-care. And self-care alone cannot fix anything, not anything, but it cannot fix a lot of mental health struggles that people go through. I heard somebody say, somebody in the chat said, indeed, yes, it cannot. And so really just my mission is to really strive and give tools and information and support as you're becoming your best self and creating the life you love. So if you're dealing with, let's see if I can run down my list, y'all. If it's dealing with burnout, if it's dealing with relationships, if it's dealing with mental health, if it's dealing with trauma, please, please, please do not listen to some of these other people out here who are just like, oh, I started taking myself on solo dates and my life changed. I'm sure it did change, because maybe you were neglecting yourself and now you're, making yourself a priority. You're gonna see change. But those things that are underneath all of that, right? Underneath that may keep you up late at night, that you have been just pushing to the back of your mind, that you thought you were over, or maybe you survived those things and you're like, oh, that's so in the past. Yeah, those things will come up because when you're creating, a life that you love and when you want to be your best self, you have to understand where you came from and release some things. And self-care can't do that. It just can't. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but it cannot fix those things. So if you find yourself dealing with some of those things and you feel like you've been trying all of the self-care and you've been trying it alone, listen, think about just the things that you're not addressing, right? And start there. Start there, see what you're not addressing, what keeps you up at night, when you're triggered, and see what themes there are, right? And then if you feel like you need to, go seek additional help so that you can break down those barriers and become your best self and really live this life that you want to live. So as a lover of self-care, right? And as a licensed therapist, self-care can do amazing things, right? But everything, it just cannot. And I wanted to just bring that to the forefront. I'm glad you guys voted on this topic because it's so important. I think it's so necessary too, like as you're navigating and on this journey of self-care. So like for me, I like to tell people, hey, come on this journey of self-care and healing because you need both. Both are essential and both are necessary for you to become your best self. So yeah, those are like just kind of like me kicking in and having this discussion. Let me know in the chat if you guys have, any thoughts or any questions that you want to share. Have you tried self-care and you were like, it's a no for me? Or maybe you're like, oh, is there another form of self-care, or how can self-care like take me to the next level if I am working on my healing? Let me know in the chat. I'm excited. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, just some hearts, people liking what the things that I shared. I'm thinking about making a blog post to go along with this, but yeah, I'm really excited just to hear your thoughts, either just in the comments. You can also DM me and let me know your thoughts. You can also email me if there is a topic regarding self-care or healing that you want me to address. Feel free to email me at info@rashawndajames.com, or you can find me on Instagram as well at Rashawnda James. And yeah, I'm hoping that you guys enjoy just this topic of like what self-care cannot fix. I'm hoping you found it fruitful. Let me know. And yeah, I will. Yeah, this, I was like, as this video is airing, but this is actually like live. So today is July 29th. Tomorrow I'm going to be going on vacation. So I'll be sharing a little bit behind the scenes on my Instagram. If you care to see how I am practicing self-care after I've done some inner work, right? Done the inner work. So it's time to practice self-care and just enjoy things. And if I have any tips, or if I see anything, that I definitely will try to respond. But for the most part, I am doing a digital detox during these 7 days. And I am encouraging you to do the same. So I hope it was well for you. And I can't wait to see you guys in the next self-care. Well, this is really self-care Saturday, but self-care Saturday or self-care Sunday. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.